This is the Last Picture Show with Rahim Khan, and today I am reviewing Richard Linklater's Nouvelle Vage. I will preface this by saying that this movie is very likely going to make it to my top 10 of the year, which will be releasing very soon. I love the movie. That's what this review is going to be. This review is going to be an extended love letter, much like the film itself, to the French New Wave, but then also mine to this movie. The movie serves as a paean, an ode to the French New Wave, which to many filmmakers served as inspirational to them in their careers, almost served as foundations to them going on and becoming filmmakers in their own right. That's how sort of influential the French New Wave was in sort of après-guerre France. France, of course, had always a rich cinematic tradition, starting off with, early 20s and 30s, Renoir, Les Jeux? No. Rules of the Game. I might have got messed up the French, but that's the English one. Rules of the Game and sort of films like that. Of course, World War II stymied all of that, but then they came back in force. They came back in force in the 50s, in the 60s, with these young, filmmakers. Well, they weren't even filmmakers at that point. At that point, they were just sort of cinephiles. They were people like Jean-Luc Godard, Francois Truffaut, and all of the others, their ilk, who wrote for Cahiers du Cinéma, the seminal French cinema magazine publication. And it was their sort of love for cinema that led them to becoming filmmakers themselves. And while I think it isn't necessary to have this foreknowledge in watching this movie, it certainly adds to the richness of it. But I will say this, for those who aren't familiar with the French New Wave, who aren't familiar with these directors, who aren't familiar with the style, the film may not have that same effect. It may not hit the same as it did to those of us who are, of course, familiar with the films, who are, of course, familiar with all of these characters, these personalities who sort of dominated French cinema for decades. So I think that's the only, caveat I will issue when speaking about this movie. Otherwise, I absolutely loved it. I've always liked Richard Linklater as a director. He is one of the finest America has produced. And in making this film, I think that sort of both as a filmmaker but also as a fan, he's able to make a testament to the French New Wave. The story particularly focuses on Jean-Luc Godard, who, as an avowed cinephile, wanted to make a movie of his own, as many of his peers, like Francois Truffaut, who made The 400 Blows, was already out there. And sort of he is now, maybe perhaps not struggling, but at least definitely contending with the fact that sort of it is now his turn to make a movie. And so this movie documents the making of, again, his own groundbreaking movie, Breathless. I will say this, I've never liked Godard. I never liked Breathless. There's something about this man and his work that just never appealed to me, as opposed to others like Truffaut and Varda. But his contributions to cinema stand. And who am I to say, yes, I'm allowed to have an opinion, but many will, of course, disagree with me. The movie works on so many levels. And I say that because sort of as a film, it is, of course, a combination, a union of direction, script, acting, cinematography, sound, all of these things. And I think in that, this movie is able to, very accurately depict the time, the style, the aesthetic of the New Wave, but then also embody or at least bring to life these people who were mostly behind the camera. What's it called? The actor who plays Godard himself, Guillaume Marbeck, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is a revelation. I mean, I remember in that movie, in the documentary that Agnes Varda did. I think it was it was the one she did with JR. I'm forgetting the name. In which I think she's somewhere in France and she happens to pass by Godard's house, and she wants to check in on him. Of course, they're contemporaries, they're old friends, and he's not there. But then I think she goes and tries to see him again, and he leaves a note in his window, and it's something that's sort of deeply affecting and deeply personal. And she takes it poorly because, again, I think he refers to her deceased husband, and she calls him a rat. And I think that's sort of what this character is in this movie. He's a bit of he's an interesting one because he sort of exudes cool. This movie is cool. Their style, their clothes, sort of the manner, the self-confidence, all of that stuff is very neatly sort of packaged in this person. But then he's also, I mean, sort of kind of insufferable. I mean, in making this movie, you see how these people are almost, I mean, at their tether's end. I mean, they are done with this person and his pretension, if you will. Because the thing is that until this point, he is sort of very untested. In fact, he's never made a movie. He's worked on minor things, but he's never made a movie. So, I mean, sort of, he's an unknown, he's a variable. And you see that sort of, again, in the anxiety of Jean Seberg, the American actress who worked largely in Europe, played here again very well by Zoey Deutch. And one thing I will say to the casting director, that in casting all of these people, like, for example, the actor who plays Belmondo, Godard, Truffaut, all of these people, they're such, like, they have striking resemblances. It's so well done. And Zoey Deutch, with that sort of cropped blonde hair, she looks all exactly like the actress. And it's so expressed very well. I think that the script, the screenplay, as well as the direction. I mean, yes, the movie is not meant to be sort of as groundbreaking as Breathless itself, but it doesn't need to be. What this movie needs to do is encapsulate or capture that time, that place, these people. And it does so, again, it does so effortlessly. I was so won over by this movie because it comes from somebody, Linklater, who is fanboying, to be sort of kind of Gen Z or alpha about it, over these people. And sort of, he does it with the sort of attention and care and detail that only a fan could deliver. This is a piece of, I wouldn't even say it's fan fiction, because the thing is again, this is about real people documenting the, sort of making of, but it's definitely a piece of fan non-fiction, if you will. Great music. I mean, sort of like, it's sort of, if you were to sort of distill that aesthetic into sort of a visual style of the French New Wave, you could easily see it in the shots, in the way that sort of, even in sort of like, the script is so well done, and sort of like, I mean, he always has a quip ready. I mean, Godard always is sort of like, on top of everyone else. I mean, sort of, battling, producers and sort of second unit directors and his own actors and all of these people, and sort of sticking to his guns and sort of making sure that his vision is realized. I am all praise for this movie. And I did not know that this was a Netflix production because I didn't see it pop up on Netflix. So clearly it was not released in the cinema, or maybe it was. I didn't see it on Netflix. But if you were to ask me again, cinema, stream it or skip it, most definitely stream it. I mean, sort of, even if you aren't au fait with the, French New Wave, or with any of the movies from that era, or even these people, I mean, sort of, it still serves as, a really good, like, sort of sharp, intellectual, cool encapsulation of that period. And it's a good movie. I mean, sort of, I loved it. And I think I'll be able to speak more on it in our top 10, but definitely check it out. That's Nouvelle by Richard Linklater.